Hello and welcome to my mammoth What's On guide for Edinburgh Fringe 2017. I thought my monthly circus scoop would be too full up, so I've got an additional video, all the circus in Edinburgh. I started recording this about 6 weeks ago, so it was my first look at the programme. I've been really good and waited until I could get this camera rolling before I flick through the pages. It is the most exciting part of every Edinburgh Fringe year, finding out what's in there. If you don't know, Edinburgh Festival Fringe is the largest performing arts festival in the world, and actually when you combine it with also the book festival that's on at the same time, and the international festival, like all art forms are all thrown together into this melting pot of a beautiful old Scottish town with a castle in the centre of it, cod streets. And last year I think there were over 3,500 different shows over the course of just over 3 weeks. So to give you an idea of the programme, it's that thick. The text is that small. So each page has, what is it, like 10 shows per side of A4, and there are, let me have a look, how many pages in total? 405 pages. Now, I'm very sad, it's not quite pristine as I'd hoped, because it got rained on in my bag today, but the section that I'm going to run you through is the dance, physical theatre and circus section, which crops up at page 192, and luckily that's still dry and lovely. The cover of this year's programme is one of 4 different designs, no, one of 3 different designs, and I got this one by chance. I went up to the National Theatre because I happened to be in London on the South Bank, and I went in and there was a big queue for security checks of bags, and I thought, oh, have I got to wait in a queue to get my programme? But no, a friendly security guy went and got the programme for me, so I didn't have to queue, so that was wonderful. Thank you, National Theatre. And they're free to pick up from lots of places around the UK. Waterstones in bigger towns often have them. HMV, I think, stocks them. If you go on the edfringe.com website, they will give you a list of all the different places where you could pick up a programme, or you could also have it posted and delivered to your own home. I like getting my hands on these ones. The first section in there this year is Cabaret and Variety, which I will be looking through because there's often circus-based performance that sits in that section rather than the theatre, physical theatre, dance and circus section. And then the following one, which is children's theatre, green, children's shows, also crosses over sometimes into things that would come under my circus territory. Then we have got the purple section, which is the comedy section. That's the big one that you can see there, lots of comedy. And then is our favourite dance, physical theatre and circus. There is a red section, which is music. There is a blue section, which is musicals and opera. There is a sort of pinky, lilac-y colour, which is spoken word. I've just opened it there on Gorilla Aspie's 3rd Autism and Asperger's Converting Year. I actually went and saw that show last year, and it's really fascinating. What's next? Oh, the red section is the theatre section, which is always huge. I like to read through and see which sort of classical title has the most productions each year. So I think last year it was Alice in Wonderland, and yeah, there's always something that Zeitgeist seems to say loads of companies end up putting on the same show. So I don't know what that will be. And then that's the last section of listings, and at the back you've got your venue guide, which is handy, and more importantly to me, the map, which I tend to rip out and carry around folded up into a little scrunched ball in my pocket while I'm up in Edinburgh, just so I can check. See, the main circle there is everything's about within a 20-minute walk if you don't know the city. Anything outside of that you probably want to leave longer, depending where it is. See, already I'm just trying to get to the page I want, and the children's show is showing Trash Test Dummies, which is Australian circus performers. That is a really funny modern contemporary slapstick clowning show for families. So yeah, that's in the children's show section. But let's see, Blue Pages 192. It's alphabetical order by show title. And the first one we have up there is Accelere by Circolumbia, which is actually on tour in the UK before it even hits Edinburgh. So I think I am actually going to go and see that at Pontio in North Wales. But Circolumbia are, I hope I'm going to remember this right now, they're actually a British run company that employs Colombian circus artists and is associated with a circus school in Colombia. So it's kind of a progression program, but then when they get to the actual Circolumbia company, performing company, is the professional arm of that. Circus with guts, grace and gusto, direct from Bogota. And then a couple of quotes from Time Out and Sunday Express. Doesn't give much away, but it's one of those companies that has a fairly recognisable name in the UK because they have toured a few times. Let's see, dance, flamenco, all genius, all idiot. Oh, that will be interesting. So Svalbard Company, in association with Aurora Nova, the producers, and Follow the Rabbit. So I saw these guys in Jackson's Lane, I guess it must have been the beginning of last year. Nearly finished. It's very surreal. And I think too surreal for my taste. But I'm intrigued to see if they have kind of tightened it up to make it more cohesive as a show. There was music involved, which was nice. There was some interesting bits of clowning and aerial technique and hand balance. But yeah, to me, they're just being weird for the sake of being weird thing got too much. Well, there's another Aurora Nova production. I think it's actually a German based, I don't know, the production company anyway, and they bring really interesting work to the Fringe. It's not all circus based stuff, but everything on their programme is usually great, and I recommend it all without even seeing what they're listing this year, so that must be a good recommendation. The next one there is All the Fun by company EO. Don't even know how you say that. EO. Which calls itself a hypnotic, tongue-in-cheek antidote to the glittering circus world. EO invites the audience beyond the everyday 1, 2, 3 of juggling in an ever-changing space, balancing objects, throwing bodies, rendering failure just as visible as sweat. And I don't know if you noticed that my face started to light up then as I read about juggling, because the more juggling I see, the more I love it. Particularly the contemporary experimental juggling, which is going into dance forms and mathematical concepts, and there are just so many things you can do with objects. Yeah, so Lost in Translation Circus, also in association with Tiger Circus, who I don't know who they are. Skillful duo exhibit their acrobatic agility in a fast-paced, funny circus smash hit evoking Laurel and Hardy. One small and mischievous, one giant, clumsy and warm-hearted, the performers are hopelessly connected. As one falls, the other flies. Huh. Well, that sounds like McManus. So I'm pretty sure that this is a show that used to be called, or the company used to be called McManus. So it's interesting that it now says Tiger Circus. And then I guess the Lost in Translation are producing them or presenting them in the UK. Okay, here's Circla Putica with a show called Boccaccio. Now, these guys are from the Czech Republic. When I first went away to explore what circus criticism was all about, I spent a long weekend in Humorology Festival in Kortrijk in Belgium, and one of the shows there was a Circla Putica's self-titled show, Circla Putica, and we were a group of, I think, 12 international arts writers, and most people hated this show, but the two people who did like the show were both British, which was kind of interesting because it speaks about the different tastes of different cultures, and that show was very theatrical and very centred around pub drinking culture, which seemed quite familiar. And then 2 years ago they had a show called Dolls at Edinburgh Fringe, which was very dark but scenographically fascinating. It was kind of a dystopian apartment block and dysfunctional post-apocalyptic family. We had good conversations about that in the Total Theatre Awards assessment meetings, where a room full of 30 or so people sit and discuss a huge long list of shows that may or may not qualify for Total Theatre Awards each year. And yeah, there was some backwards and forth about whether that should go onto the shortlist. So Boccaccio is their new show. Award-winning contemporary circus mixes breathtaking acrobatics, original music and magic and unexpected illusions in a fantastical journey to the spectacular comedies of the 19th century. And that's Aurora Nova as well. That's 50% of the shows on the first page are Circus. Boom! Right, the next page. China Goes Pop. I've heard of this actually. So, eye-popping entertaining show direct from China, starring brilliant acrobats including Cirque du Soleil alumni. This love story of an artist and muse unfolds through dazzling acrobatics, physical comedy, stunning video and costumes against a pop soundtrack. So there's probably not going to be much brain fodder there, but there is probably going to be quite a lot of impressive physical behaviour. And it looks like it will be high energy with this pop theme. That's going to be at Assembly Hall, which is one of the biggest venues and often takes the larger international circus companies. Circa. Australians have been there every year that I've been there at the Fringe. This year they're producing a show called Humans, which is part of the Underbelly's Circus Hub, which is on the Meadows. They set up the first year geodesic domes as circus venues. Last year it was a Spiegel tent and another canvas tent venue. I'm not sure what they're going to have this year, wait and see. But 10 acrobats go faster, harder and higher than ever before, exploring what it means to be human in this thrilling performance from international acclaimed circa. 2 years ago they had a show called Close Up, which was received as kind of a 3-star offering, where they experimented with getting the performers to interact with members of the audience, and they also used some projection of close-up footage of the acrobats. But it wasn't wholly successful of actually conjuring a spirit of being close and really seeing beneath the skin. So then next year they adapted some of that material, renamed the show Close Up, which confused a lot of reviewers, thinking it was the same show or were they different shows. It was an evolution of the same show. And this Humans seems like it's following that same trajectory. I will go and watch it and find out how much of the material is been adapted and evolved and how much is completely fresh. It might be a brand new show with stuff I've never seen before. Wait and see. Circus Abyssinia, saying that, this is another one where it might be Moon Songs that we saw with Gifford Circus 2 years ago. And it's BB and Beachu, who are Tesfaran... I know I can't say their surname. Tesfaran... BB and Beachu. They were in Moon Songs. They've been with Gifford Circus for a lot of years. This year they're taking a break. And Cal McChrystal, who is the artistic director of many of the Gifford shows, has sort of gifted them the concept of Moon Songs and some of the technical stuff. So they've got Tweety the Clown appearing as the moon in a projection sequence. So I don't know how much of the concept will be recreated and how much will be devised as something fresh. It says in the programme, a joyful mix of astonishing stunts, astounding circus skills and enchanted adventure. Experience the mystical, magical story of two Ethiopian brothers whose dream of joining the circus is made real by the man in the moon. Which, I'll put the Moon Songs review up there. That's what it was. So, yeah, we'll see what's different. Circopolis. Cirque-Éloise. They've toured Circopolis in the UK once before, I think. No, maybe twice. I think, well, anyway. Circopolis has toured the UK before. I saw it in Southampton a couple of years ago. And I saw Leah Torangena doing the serial solo in that. If you don't follow her videos on YouTube, you really should. I will put a link to her channel below. She is very inspirational. She makes blogs about her life as a circus artist. She's currently in Paris doing the Moulin Rouge. But yeah, I saw her perform in that show. She is no longer doing it, however. It's a staggering blend of circus theatre and dance. Quebec's Cirque-Éloise transform classic film metropolis into a virtuosic spectacle for the whole family, an internationally acclaimed sensation. I mean, I don't know, because obviously the cast has changed. I don't know how many of the acts will remain the same, so I won't speculate here. But it is a popular show, and yes, it's been touring worldwide for several years, so it's a good solid recommendation. Kailia by Feathers of Daedalus. These guys were not called Feathers of Daedalus last year. Last year they were just a new company that had graduated. They were like a student circus society who had created a theatrical version of Alice in Wonderland, which was done in black and white, and rather than simply retelling the story, it transformed it to kind of like Tim Burton does. Like, it gives its own narrative journey through the events that Lewis Carroll gave us. But it was really impressive for a circus show. It was better than some of the professional circus theatre performances that I've seen. And now they have reformed, or the director has formed her own company called Feathers of Daedalus, and they are producing Kailia, which is a classical ballet story, traditionally, of a puppet maker. I think it's a bit kind of Pinocchio-ish, but with a doll. Yes, here we go. The notorious ballet of a mechanical doll, swallowed and spat out through the compelling voices of contemporary circus, spoken word and 16mm film, exploring love, paternal, possessive, unrequited and unknown. And we've got another circusy one. This is good. So out of 20 shows on the first double page spread, over half of them, 11 of them, are circus or circus based. Good stuff. So yeah, the last one that I was going to talk about then, Creature. It says Vanessa Cook Dance from Switzerland is the name of the company. Airborne, earthbound, weaving aerial acrobatics with exhilarating dance to explore the complex business of being human. This powerful new work of dance theatre provides a unique free-fall experience for both performers and audiences. The picture, it's quite dark, but it looks like a kind of perspex sphere with a body inside, kind of crawling to make it work, but rather than that being like a zorb to move along the floor, this globe is rolling over the hands of fellow performers underneath who are supporting it. That's an intriguing picture. And also when you hear aerial acrobatics and aerial dance, a certain vision comes into my mind of bungee harnesses and maybe rope work, trapeze work. But this seems to be something a little different, so I'll be looking up more about them. I'm going to try and see everything that puts itself circus. If I've seen the show before, it goes to the bottom of the list generally because I want to catch new stuff. I will also be running edition 2 of the Circus Voices scheme that we had in Edinburgh last year. So that's going to be a group of 5 of us who are going out to see shows together and talk about them together, and developing that critical voice and conversation around circus arts, because my voice alone doesn't mean much. We need to kind of have different opinions to really get an idea of what work is worth and where it has value and to whom and what we love and what trends are and what is becoming tired. So yeah, I am looking forward to that very much. I've got a good team with me, so we'll keep you informed in that. So the next double page spread has only got 10 shows on it under the adverts. None of those adverts are for any of the circus shows, I don't think. So I'll have a quick scan of the page and see if there's anything I need to pull out for you. Cass's Circus are back with Driftwood. They made a huge impact when they brought Knee Deep over from Australia. It was one of the first contemporary circus productions to really make a resounding impact in the theatre, performing arts world and mainstream critics. Their follow-up Driftwood was there last year. It's a slower thing, there's less overt entertainment value to it. So the founding members of the company have sort of gone in different directions. So some of them are still with Cassius, but there's also new performers in there as well, so that has changed the work that they're making. But again, it has an established reputation. Ooh, here's one I've not heard of before, which always makes me excited because, you know, the stuff like Circus, Cass's Circus, they do get brought into London, they have been around for a few years, whereas the brand new stuff that's just experimenting is where I can really get my teeth into something that might surprise me in exciting ways. This is by Bert and Fred, whoever Bert and Fred may be. It's called 8 Years, 5 Months, 4 Weeks, 2 Days. And he is Bert, she is Fred. Together they are Bert and Fred. Logical. They create spectacular, funny and dangerous circus. It may not be safe, but it is certainly exciting. And it's down as circus/comedy. So when a show is a new show, what I often also do will be look at the venue, and there are certain venues in Edinburgh that are larger and more expensive to hire than others, that have stronger reputations for the type of work that they will present. And this is Gilded Balloon Teviot, which has presented a substantial amount of decent circus-based theatre in the past, and I really like going to support their shows because they don't have this big advertising machine behind their circus fair like Assembly and Underbelly do. So their shows are less likely to get coverage from the big name papers. So I think it's more important that I go there and check something out, and if it is worth shouting about, then I can be the person that does that, which I think is really valuable, if I do say so myself. Next page. We have got, we got big adverts here for Sweatshop and Hot Brown Honey. Hot Brown Honey was a huge hit last year. Sweatshop is, well, they're both presented by Briefs Factory. Briefs, they started off as a all-male boylesque cabaret circus event, and then they've produced more and more things since then. Hot Brown Honey was produced under their label last year. It is all female, women of colour, coming from Australia, which is, by all accounts, much more rife with misogyny and racism than we even experience over here. So yeah, their tagline, "Fighting the power never tasted so sweet," and it's just a brilliant, feel-good, empowering show. Their technical skills are fab, live energy to it, and thoroughly recommend it. Oh, they were a winner of last year's Total Theatre Awards for innovation and experimentation, maybe? The cat's back. Oh, look at the kitty. Kitty, look at the camera. Kitty. His name is Rasputin. I didn't choose it. He'll knock everything down. On the next set of pages, we have got Elixir, which is another Australian company. British audiences love Australian circus, and I'm no different actually. There's something about their brand of entertainment and direct connection, as well as the high skills that most of the acrobats over here, or most of the acrobats coming over here have, that just floats my boat and gives me a good show. Well, what's interesting here, companies going into the Fringe programme get to choose their own categorisation. So they're obviously in the dance, physical theatre and circus section of the programme, but in their kind of tags, as it were, they haven't put circus, they've just put comedy, which is interesting. I mean, I saw it last year, it is comedic. There's a whole zombie mad scientist storyline, but they do also have great acrobatic skills, head balancing, I'm seeing in the picture, and I'll put the review link up there because that's what I do. Also on this page, Elaine Davidson's Kinky Freak Show. And now, some people don't class sideshow in the circus world. I figure I might as well, because, you know, if not, who's going to talk about it? This is a rare opportunity to see lifetime Guinness World Record holder Elaine Davidson, the world's most pierced woman, up close and personal doing what she does best. So I'm guessing that is going to be a lot of blockhead stuff, bits of object going through bits of flesh. Another one from the Aurora Nova programme. The venue is Assembly Roxy, which has a wonderful kind of church space where they've put a lot of circus in the past. So Fauna is an Aurora Nova production again. I saw them at Canvas earlier this year, where the production, the performance side seemed almost finished, but it just needed polishing up with costumes and technical, that kind of thing. So they've been in a development phase since then, and the Edinburgh show is going to be the final version. Doesn't look from the blurb like it will have changed too much. A captivating exploration of primal behaviour, the ritual of courtship, the aggression of competition, the Machiavellian cunning and the simple pleasure of play is brought to life through the enchanting skills of these creatures from different circus backgrounds. It was really funny and really high skilled, and yeah, if they've got lights and costumes and things to enhance that even further, then that could be one of the top shows this season. On the page also, we've got Fanti Acrobats, which is a Ghanaian acrobatic troupe performing acrobatics, contortion, limbo, pan spinning, fire breathing, dance and man in a bowl. Whatever man in a bowl may be, I guess that's contortion. I did go see these guys last year. It's a really fun show, and if you want to see something a little bit different culturally, then I do recommend it, because we have a tradition of sitting in theatre spaces quietly and clapping at the end, and in Ghana that is not what performance is about, so you will be treated to something quite different if you go and see this show. So yeah, Fanti Acrobats is that one. Big ads. Transit, Flip Fabrique. Last year they had Attrape-moi at Edinburgh, which is currently on in London actually, but under the anglicised title of Catch Me. Transit is their most recent creation. It premiered at Montreal Complètement Cirque Festival last year. wasn't rated as highly as their debut Catch Me, but it has had time now to settle in, and circus shows do evolve over time far more than theatre productions do. So I will certainly be seeing it, and will let you know. Here's one that didn't give itself any subheading tags at all. Derevo, who, well, you can't tag them. They're dance theatre. They often use a circus aesthetic to their work. And their show this year is called Last Clown on Earth. The blurb says, 20 years since their Fringe debut, and they have gone down really well in the Fringe over that time. Multi-award-winning Russian physical theatre company returned to immortalise the cosmic figure of the clown, full of inner joy, yet trapped in a never-ending cycle of self-sacrifice and rebirth. Yeah, it's going to be a great show. It's going to be a good show. It's going to be a well-created, and it's going to be a good show. It's Derevo. The circus might be secondary. It's probably like a theme in the background rather than high level of technique, but it'll be a good show. Kin from Barely Methodical Troupe. They got worldwide acclaim with their first show, Bromance. This is their second show. There's 6 of them in it. Difficult second show. A lot of these difficult second shows, but you know, a lot of people have enjoyed it. I enjoyed it. I did enjoy it. Just didn't blow me away. I'm not being fair. It was a good show, but it doesn't live up to the hype that surrounds it, and I think that's why I'm somewhat dismissive, because yeah, the hype suggests maybe it's the best thing since sliced bread, and I don't know, it's not. It's not a right show. It's not right. Callow Collective. They last year were presenting Only Bones, Thomas Monckton as the solo performer, with this incredibly gifted, physically articulate clown. This year, it's a solo show. Her name's not Helga, but the character's name is Helga. The show is called Helga, Life of Diva Extraordinaire. Meet Helga, cabaret diva extraordinaire. At least she used to be. Through mime, clowning and circus, this poignant physical comedy reflects on how it feels when our bodies don't do what they used to. So there's a thing about ageing in there as well, which is very interesting when it comes to circus performance. And I know that they have produced some really strong physical work in the past. So that might be on some award lists, don't know. We'll have to find out. This page has No Show by Ellie Dubois. She has created a new contemporary all-female circus that joyously and heartbreakingly reveals what lies hidden beneath the showmanship. There will be desperate attempts and heroic failures for anyone who has tried, failed and failed better. Now, Ellie Dubois was a Total Theatre Circus Award nominee with Ringside, which was a solo trapeze performance. Now, Ellie is a circus performer, but she has had a baby. She's moved away from performing and she's directed other performers into Ringside, and she's directed this No Show. She has a strong background in theatre as well, which a lot of new circus companies are less versed in. Paris de Nuit, which, excuse my pronunciation, is Paris of Night, by a Hungarian company, Circus. Stunning circus artists, dancers and musicians bring the decadent and lovable Paris of the 1930s to life. Roaring variety, smoky live jazz and cheeky interactions are offered to the Edinburgh audience, the quintessence of an unforgettable night. Page 204/205. 2 shows that I'm going to read out. The Ping Pong Ball Effect by Uppsala Circus. It's from St. Petersburg, and it's a youth circus production, but Russia is known for its very dedicated and professional circus training. So a Russian youth circus, I imagine, is probably going to be some leagues higher technically than a British youth circus. but they are fusing it with theatre, storytelling, live music. So I don't know how that element will work out. I don't know much about young Russian theatre devising skills. That is going to be in Pleasance Courtyard. So yeah, that's one of the bigger venues. They probably have some strong backing behind them. Or maybe it's not really a St. Petersburg youth circus. Maybe that's maybe that's just the characters. Because it's the blurb. It says the rapscallions and runaways of St. Petersburg's legendary youth circus make their delightful Fringe debut. So is it a real youth circus? Or is that the kind of theatrical premise of the show? Now I'm intrigued. And the other show that I wanted to talk about on these pages was Sigma from Gambini Juggling. Gambini Juggling have always found new and innovative ways of combining dance languages with juggling in their shows. And this is a combination of, and excuse my pronunciation again, Bharatanatyam. It's an Indian dance form, South Indian dance form. Bharatanatyam, something like that. The piece showcases exuberant rhythms, patterns and colours, at the heart of which is a unique interpretation of the South Indian dance form, celebrating the dialogue between juggling, percussion and dance. You know they're going to be good. It's Gambini. I was talking to Kim Charnock of Rogue Play about this new show of theirs. It's called Taking Flight, which is a bit confusing because of Taking Flight Theatre Company. It's aerial theatre created for visually impaired audiences, open to all. A bird's nest, airborne kayak and ropes, accompanied by spoken word and music, capture the journey of two friends and a bird. Free circus workshop after performance. And I was talking to them about it because I had sort of become aware of this need for creative audio description for circus arts, which is being worked on by companies like Extant and Milton Lopez with Elephant, who is also working with Taking Flight Theatre Company, who have always been making integrated work for audiences of varying abilities and disabilities. So Rogue Play are the latest company to be working in this way, and it's going to be an outdoor show. And that is the end of the circus, dance and physical theatre section. Ooh, there was definitely a higher concentration of circus shows at the beginning of that section than there were at the end. Whether that is by luck or judgment, I don't know. So I will probably find some other circus related shows in the kids section and in the cabaret section. Do you know what? I might just have a quick scout now in case there's anything I really need to note out to you. I'll tell you what I will talk about while I am looking for those things. Vendetta Vane, who was graduating this year from the National Centre for Circus Arts, who had been a performance artist before she encountered circus, is running a series of kind of chat panels this year at the Fringe called Damn Everything But the Circus, thanks E. Cummins. It's taking the form of the cabaret chinwags that Ben Walters has been running for the last few years, and it's going to get people working in the circus industry together in a room chatting about love, work and everything. I don't know, I'm going to go along and find out, but I'm thrilled that this event is happening. It's really needed, and I hope lots of people come along and show their support, because yeah, get circus talked about, and that's how audiences grow and develop. Big up for that. Right, this is now several days later and lots more browsing through the book, and what I found, apart from the circus section of the magazine, there's also a few shows popping up in the comedy section this year, which is not something I've come across before. So we've got 3 shows in there. Sam Goodburn, who was one of the winners of the Circus Maximus competition that the Underbelly used to run on the South Bank. There's also the aerialist, Aaron Twitchen, is doing a comedy, sort of, I guess it would be stand-up, except it would be hang upside down, up? I don't know. And Chloe Mantrip, stand-up comedy meets performance art. So that's a new development. Circus in the comedy, circus and comedy combining. There's not anything in the theatre section, and the theatre section is like the second biggest section in the programme. See all the little coloured edges there. The theatre section is the big red one. And usually you'll go through and it will say in the tags it's got circus included. There's nothing like that this year. So I guess that indicates that circus companies are thinking they are going to get a bigger audience by marketing themselves in the circus section. Speculating, but yeah, that's unusual. So there were a few shows that I didn't mention when I was initially running down. There's something called the Magic Circus. Don't know what that is. It's going to be a Clan Mucknor family circus show, which is part of the Free Fringe. So go and see that one. Those going to my news. Children Are Stinky is back, and I loved that last year. I even bought the T-shirt for my boyfriend. He wasn't very impressed. It says I am stinky on it. I thought it would be a funny joke. He didn't. It wasn't an ideal 36th birthday present, apparently. Who knew? But yeah, Children Are Stinky is a fun show from an Australian duo, and they make a nice little story out of it. And it's got a good message. I wasn't sure by the title, but actually, no, it comes around to something warm and worthwhile. What I was going to show you is my spreadsheet. So this is what I'm now working on. This is what an Edinburgh Fringe spreadsheet looks like. I'm just beginning to kind of populate now the different dates. I'm running the Circus Voices development residency again, so that's gonna take up 1 week, but this is last week's spreadsheet. So the different colours are the different reasons that I was seeing shows. The pink ones I think were things I just wanted to see for myself. Blue ones were what were the blue ones? Blue ones were assessing for Total Theatre Awards, so I didn't need reviews written up, just sort of notes to discuss in the assessment meetings. Green ones were things that I was saying to review for the Circus Diaries. I think maybe some for This Is Cabaret as well. And the yellow ones were reviewing for the Circus Fringe, which is not really reviewing, it's called diagnosing, so it's more of a descriptive analysis rather than a evaluative one. The white blobs, there's a lot of there that are the Total Theatre assessment meetings, Circus Voices meetings, various meetings. Oh, I went to Green Man Festival in the middle, saw the Citrus Arts and Circa Media show. Yeah, so there's a lot of planning goes into my Edinburgh Fringe trips, and I have already booked in for my first show when I arrive, before the festival even starts officially, on the 3rd of August. I'm going to be seeing Fauna at Assembly Roxy. So, thanks for watching. Goodbye until next time, and if you like hearing about the circus on your YouTube, get the subscribe button there. If you fancy supporting us to do more of this work and communicate to more people, we also have a Patreon. The link is in the description box. Hope to hear from you soon, and goodbye.